Déjame hablar aquí un momentito y voy para allá. First of all, Puerto Rico has $74 billion debt that does not belong to the people. There were bonds that were issued at interest as high as 735% interest. Think about that. Think about your 18% credit card. And now think about 735% interest. So clearly this debt was not issued so that it could be repaid. They were going to come for us. So the country was already going through a humanitarian crisis because of all of the austerity measures that have been imposed by a financial control board that was also imposed by the government of the United States. So the humanitarian crisis was already bad, and there was an exodus of Puerto Ricans leaving the island. Then Hurricane Maria came, and it was almost a Hurricane 5, Category 5, because the winds were almost at Category 5. Puerto Rico hasn't seen anything like that in the last 100 years. Puerto Rico was not ready for that because the infrastructure was already weak from a lot of years without maintenance. So the effects of the hurricane has been devastating. There's people in Puerto Rico who don't have water to drink right now. There's people in Puerto Rico that don't have food. There's mayors that are crying on TV saying, I don't have water to give to the people. We are on the verge of a public health crisis, a major public health crisis in Puerto Rico because garbage is not being collected. People are having to do their necessities, the biological necessities in bags and throw them in the dumpster, and the dumpster is not being emptied. There are lots of dead animals due to the hurricane. There's a lot of homeless people. There's no gas or the little gas that there is. It takes hours in a line to get gas. People have to spend their whole workday waiting for gas or diesel, and when they get in, sometimes there's no gas left. So you need gas in order to be able to, get your necessities. There's like a limit of items that you can get at the supermarket. So you can get 10 items at the supermarket and you have to do a line in order to get in. Because there's no power, there's no ATM or credit card, so you have to have cash. And if you go to the ATM, you have to do a line at the ATM. And because there hasn't been work for a while, a lot of people are doing the line and going to the ATM, and then there's no money deposited because they haven't been paid. So I can't really explain how horrible this is. There's people that are gonna be here today that haven't heard from their families yet. They don't know if their families are okay. I didn't know about my family for days. I don't know anything. So we're here to express our outrage at the fact that Puerto Rico is being treated in the unfair way that it is treated. It's beyond unfair, but I really don't have a word for the horror show that is going on there. So we are here to express our outrage, to express our solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Puerto Rico and with our families, and we are here to demand a fair treatment. We are here to demand relief with justice for Puerto Rico. We are here to demand that there's people in Puerto Rico who haven't eaten in a while, but there's a lot of supplies and there's a lot of food and goods that are sitting on the airport and sitting on docks and have not been released to the people. So we want to know what's up with that. We want to know where the aid is and why the Puerto Rican people haven't had access to that. Trump suspended the Jones Act for 10 days. 10 days.
Explain that a little bit. Like, what is the Jones Act? Why did it need to be
The
suspended?
Jones Act is a law that establishes that merchandise that goes to Puerto Rico can only get there if they're using a U.S. ship, and it has to be U.S. built, and it has to be the crew has to be a U.S. crew. So that makes everything a lot more expensive for Puerto Ricans, and right now there is a crisis and we can't afford that. We were never able to afford it, never. But now we really it's just hindering any sort of recovery or development. So right now, there has been a really big cry to suspend the Jones Act. Even McCain is like asking for the Jones Act to be repealed. But the president that is sitting in office, the idiot in chief, has decided that he's gonna lift it for 10 days. So it's like somebody said on Facebook that it was like putting a human being in a dog collar and treating them like a slave for 100 years, and then taking it out for 10 days. I'm gonna take it out for a bit and then I'll just put it back. How's that? So that's how we feel. We feel like we're being treated like animals. There's a lot of dead people in Puerto Rico right now. There's people who have dead people in bags. The morgue is not enough to put everybody in there. So
people that might not understand, and we have a system that pretty much doesn't want us to remember. Why is Puerto Rico not its own country? Why is Puerto Rico a U.S. colony under?
So Puerto Rico was invaded. This is like a long story. Puerto Rico was invaded in 1898, and it was essentially the war booty of the Hispanic American War. Puerto Rico has been a colony of the United States with no rights for anything for almost 120 years now. Puerto Ricans don't have a right to vote for the president, but Puerto Ricans serve in every war that the United States have had. There has been always a pro-independence movement in Puerto Rico, but the repression of independentistas in Puerto Rico has been always really strong, and the U.S. sadly has been successful in not allowing a movement, an independentista freedom movement, to be able to grow because of the fear that has been instilled in the people, and leaders of that movement have been imprisoned and tortured and persecuted.
Do you feel like this might be like the straw that breaks the camel's back? Like, what effect do you think this is going to have on people that want to?
Well, the problem right now is that people in Puerto Rico are trying to survive, and when you're trying to survive, fighting becomes really hard. So it's really important for the people that are out here in the diaspora, the people that are exiled and that in many cases have been a part of that exodus, to be able to raise our voices and demand changes so that Puerto Rico can be its own country, so that Puerto Rico can have economic development, so that Puerto Rico can have agriculture once again. Because the lives of Puerto Rican people depend on it. So that's why we're here today.
Truckers, we have volunteers to actually do that, and the government is actually taking notes and phone numbers and sending them back. We need them to release the relief. Second, we have a Jones Act. We have some laws that actually make the recovery more expensive. 10 days is not enough. We need to actually repeal the Jones Act for good and recover and start the recovery of the economy of the island.
I think it's so important that when we talk about the long history of Puerto Rican repression, which Boricuas have already spoken so beautifully to, that we talk about how fundamentally tied that history is to enslavement, to colonization, and to the way that Black people have been treated all over the Caribbean and all over the world, not just in Puerto Rico. And I really want to respect and give love to the organizers of this event for demanding that the debt be canceled, because that is such a crucial and important demand. And we know that there are Black countries throughout the Caribbean and throughout the world that are still in debt to the countries that colonized and enslaved them. That don't make no sense. Puerto Rico doesn't owe anything to the United States. It's the other way around. So we really need to stop talking about not just canceling the debt, but repaying the debt. And the debt that needs to be repaid is the debt that the U.S. owes to Puerto Rico, not the other way around. That debt needs to be repaid. The colonized don't owe anything to their colonizers, and the enslaved don't owe anything to their masters. And don't let them have us arguing with each other and with ourselves about that. It's them that owe us, not the other way around. And jumping off of that, I also want to encourage us to back off and let go of the language of citizenship. The people of Puerto Rico are U.S. citizens because of colonization, because of a history of repression. It has not been a consensual process. So the people of Puerto Rico don't deserve our help because they're U.S. citizens. They deserve our help because they're oppressed. And we need to stand in solidarity with all oppressed people. Citizenship is a non-issue. The people of Puerto Rico deserve to have their human rights met, and they deserve the resources that have been withheld from them on purpose by the U.S. to be repaid. And when we stand with Puerto Rico, we need to stand with them not as citizens, but as people fighting for justice. And when we stand with Puerto Rico, we need to also stand with Palestine. We need to also stand with undocumented folks in our country and around the world. Citizenship is not the issue. Social justice and human rights is the issue. So let's change that conversation. It's not about being a citizen, it's about being a human being that deserves justice. So let's all make sure we remember that. And the last thing I want to say real quick is to shout out what my sister already said about the shock doctrine and the gentrification of Puerto Rico. Let's call it gentrification. Yep. Because gentrification is a process of pushing our people out from the places that they've claimed and the resources that they need and taking it back over from the people who originally colonized and originally enslaved us. And we cannot let that happen. When we talk about aid to Puerto Rico, we need to talk about, again, repaying the debt that the U.S. owes, not the gentrification of Puerto Rico. We do not want the U.S. coming in the form of military occupation. We do not want the U.S. coming in the form of establishing Puerto Rico as a base for U.S. corporations. We want Puerto Rico to be free, and that means that the U.S. needs to let go of its control, repay its debt, and Puerto Rico should have its agency and its power to rebuild the way that it sees fit for itself. The U.S. should have nothing to do with it. Come through.
I want to tell you guys, you know, what I've been dealing with, right? Because I haven't got to hear my family's voice. I've been able to communicate through Facebook. Sometimes you get a signal, sometimes you don't. You get a message, but I have been able to talk to other people from Puerto Rico who have called other people that give them my number, and they call me for boxes of relief. But the stories that you do hear from people in their voices is desperation, it's a cry that I've never heard my people before. We've had disasters, we've had hurricanes. We just always got back up, or we always got the help. This time it wasn't purposefully like that. People notice. People are saying, you know, they're not giving us the resources. There's people that the government haven't got to their places, so they're still underwater with wet clothes, hungry, mosquitoes are biting. If you can picture the worst, picture it. You got mothers that are like just begging. You got mothers that are sending their kids this way without them because, You know, when you get desperate and you get offered a way out, you're gonna take it. And I believe that that's what's happening with the island right now, is that they want to delay everything so that our people are so hungry and so thirsty and so desperate that they leave. I mind you, the Puerto Ricans that are in Puerto Rico right now are the bloodline that didn't want to leave the island, are the ones that said, I can face Maria because I've dealt with this before. They refuse to sell, they refuse to leave, and now they're hungry and they're thirsty. And these are my people, our people, you know, and we're here, and there's so much going on. But I tell you that Puerto Rico's not doing good, and the media is not showing us anything. So when you see a boat, don't get happy. Don't thank a politician. Know that our people they're gonna fight for that food, for that water, because we're humans, and when we're thirsty and when we got kids, we're gonna step on each other's neck to get what we gotta get. That's the game that's playing in Puerto Rico right now. And it's not being covered by the media because they don't want you to see. They don't want you to get angry. But I need you guys to know that we're out here today because our people in Puerto Rico are fighting to be heard. We are their channel. We are their voice. You can't go home today and think you did something because you came out to a rally. Because we haven't even scratched the surface. We haven't even touched or even brought light to what's going on. 10 days? Puerto Rico's been choked for almost 100 years. 10 days is not enough to give us time to breathe. We barely just got the chokehold off. In 10 days, we're just barely saying, oh, we got a chokehold off. Wait, it takes our people time to realize we're no longer under arrest for 10 days. Or choke for 10 days. But listen, I just want to tell you guys that Puerto Rico needs help. Not just money and not just donations. Use your Facebook every day, your Twitter, your phones, do whatever. Tell your co-workers until they get tired. I don't want to hear it. I'll call the congressman. Thank you. That was my purpose. You know, we need to let these people know we're U.S. citizens. We're here. We need to bother them. Stop being nice. We don't need to be nice. Not right now while our people are hungry and dying by the minute. They're counting on you. And there's one thing I know for a fact. Puerto Ricans fight. If you look at the Puerto Rican history, we fight, we win, and we rise. But I'm gonna go because I'll stay here all night. You know, I keep going and going. But I just want to give a shout out to my Mexican brothers and sisters who are here. I want to say to them that I am sorry that the president that we, the United States, chose has ignored their disaster, has not even acknowledged that Mexico has had an earthquake. This is the kind of president that we're dealing with. So I need everybody to know that Mexicans and Puerto Ricans have one thing in common, and that's our language. We can understand each other. And with that being said, there shouldn't be no misunderstanding between us. Love you, Mexico. Love you, Puerto Rico. Let's rise together.